Hey kids, it's the Mr. Fly here, hope you're well. Now it's another one of those anniversarial days for me today because it's the 3rd of January and it was exactly 2 years ago on the 3rd of January 2015 that I bought this brand new Honda CRF250L. And it's been a great couple of years. So as is my tradition, I like to give you sort of an annual update of what I've done to the bike, what I've done on the bike and how much the bike has cost me to run this year. So stick around and stay tuned and I'll tell you all about the long-term ownership experience of the CRF250L.
So before we get into the ownership experience proper, let me just remind you exactly what this bike is. It's a Honda CRF250L, and the L denotes that it's legal, i.e. road legal. It's got all the mirrors, lights, number plate, etc. that you need to make it legal to ride on the road, which is great for a bike like this because it means you can ride between green lanes without having to resort to a van or a trailer, stuff like that. It's got a road-based engine in it, so it's a 4-stroke, not a 2-stroke, which is great news because it means it's very easy to look after, and it also means that the service intervals are measured in thousands of miles, 6,000 miles in fact, rather than hours, which is what you get on a sort of a hairy motocross bike. So if you're very much a beginner off-roader, like I am, you just want to fancy some green lanes and try your hand at doing a bit of dirt bike riding, then this perhaps is something to start on. Certainly that's what I've used it for, and it's great fun. So what exactly have I used it for this year? So I've now covered a total of 2,534 miles on the bike over the 2 years that I've owned it. Now I know it doesn't sound like much, but of course bear in mind that I am only using this to do short local blasts, green lanes, that sort of thing. And around here in the UK, green lanes A are pretty rare and B are pretty short. In fact, I've not found one within easy riding distance that's more than 2 miles long. So it does take a while to notch up the miles on this, which is no bad thing. So I've used it for the green lane blasting, local blasts, off-road stuff, teaching myself a bit about what it's like riding off-road. Just makes you a better road rider, I think. It's something that I don't do on the GS, something I'm often criticised for not doing on the GS, because of course that's a very capable bike. But that's just straight because I am a beginner and I don't want to drop an 18 grand bike. This bike's 4 grand or thereabouts brand new, which is a much more sensible thing to do, I think. This one only weighs 144 kilograms, which isn't particularly light for an off-road bike, but it is light for a road bike. So when I'm used to riding bikes that weigh over 200 kilograms, this at 144, it feels like a bicycle. So it's been great for dabbling in the black art of off-road this year. And then the other thing I've used it for is a bit like a supermoto. I've been just using it for local blasts around the lanes when they're muddy and slippery this time of year. I don't mind getting this bike particularly dirty. I mean, I've cleaned it to within an inch of its life before this review, so it looks all spangly now. But I love getting it dirty. Dirt bikes look better dirty, don't they, anyway? And so I've just enjoyed exploring the local area on it, really. Something that you could do with a supermoto. In fact, they do make a supermoto version of this, which is the CRF250M. If you're interested in learning a bit more about that, that's the bike I originally did my test ride on, and I've got a video about that. I'll post a link up here. So yeah, so that's what I've done on the bike this year. What have I done to the bike this year? So not a huge amount of changes this year, 1 or 2 little modifications that I've made. One particularly significant one was the fitting of the Michelin T63 tyres. They've been absolutely fantastic. These are much more off-road oriented tyres, so much bigger block patterns on them, much more knobbly tyres than the stock ones, and they just give you so much grip when you are off-road. So really recommend fitting those. That's possibly the best mod I've done to the bike to date. They're brilliant, and the great thing about them is that when you ride on tarmac, you don't even notice you've got the knobblies, you don't get funny noises off them. The handling is absolutely fine. So they've been a really great add, so recommend those. Another change that I made, a little modification, was I added a new iPhone holder. Bought myself a new iPhone 6 there in the year and just need to upgrade that. I use that for reading Ordnance Survey maps and so on when I'm off-road, so very useful to have. Can't remember the make of that one. It's turned out to be very good. It's waterproof, got it from eBay, cost me about 35 quid. So that's been really good, so really pleased with that. And then last but not least, the other little change I've made is just added this little extra fuel tank that I just strap on the back here. The bike itself holds something like, I think, 7.7 litres. Yep, 7.7 litres, so it's not a huge fuel tank. You can get an aftermarket fuel tank that's bigger and it's transparent, so you can see the fuel that's in it, so it makes an awful lot of sense to fit one of those. Trouble is, I just don't really like the transparent look very much. And as I don't do great distances, I don't need to carry a lot of fuel. But having this strapped on the back just means that when the old fuel light comes on, I don't start to get that panic feeling that you sometimes get. So that's pretty much it for the mods this year. What about cost of ownership? How much does the thing cost me to run? So cost of ownership then, this second year of having the bike. I'll have to refer to my notes to make sure I get these right. So cost of ownership this year, excluding fuel, these figures are. So first of all, road tax. On this bike, very cheap, £3.32 a month I pay, which works out £39.84 a year. Small capacity bikes attract less road tax, so again, makes it very attractive in terms of its economy to run, so £3.32 a month for road tax. Insurance, difficult for me to say because I have this on a, what they call a multi-bike policy, but it's actually only on with my BMW GS, so I've just halved the insurance cost, so that comes to £109.45. And I'm in my mid-40s, I've got 4 years no claims bonus, so pretty cheap on insurance, £109.45. Annual service, got that done not at a dealer actually this time, I got that done by my man Nigel at Moto Tune up in Chesham, top fella. He did the service on this for £92.55 including VAT. Excellent price, so less than 100 quid for the annual service. The two new tyres that I mentioned, these are the Michelin T63s. The front one cost me £42.40, back one cost me £71.80, and they were £24 each to fit. So in total, the two new tyres, £162.20 fitted, so that was quite a good value I think. The iPhone holder I mentioned, £35. So you add that lot up, the total cost, excluding fuel, was £439.04. So, you know, that sounds pretty reasonable to me, I think. I don't know, does that sound reasonable to you? Be interested to hear in the comments, but what's that? That's about 300 quid less than my GS cost when I added that up recently. So there we are, £439.04 excluding annual cost for an awful lot of fun, and I don't think I'm exaggerating to say that this bike is the most fun of my 4 bikes that I currently own. I love the other bikes as well for different reasons, but just you know, fun per pound, this is the bike to have. They're great fun. Okay, so much for cost of ownership. What are my sort of general thoughts 2 years on? Well, the original reasons that I bought the CRF still hold true. You know, she's frugal to ride. I'm getting 70 plus miles per gallon out of her. I think it looks absolutely the business. It's great fun to ride around the lanes. She'll take you places that you wouldn't dare go on your other bikes. She's absolutely fantastic. And I suppose what she has taught me most of all is that you don't need massive power to have a lot of fun. 250cc for going around the back lanes is just absolutely fantastic. So that's something that, that I have learned owning the bike over the last 2 years, is that fun doesn't necessarily mean high speed and big engines.
So there we have it, folks. That's my 2-year anniversary review and long-term ownership look back on the CRF250L. Really enjoyed the little bike again. Now, I bought it mainly for doing a bit of green laning and off-road work, which I have done as much as I can. There aren't that many green lanes around to explore. But what has surprised me is that I've just used the bike a lot for general riding on these sort of back lanes and roads that you wouldn't necessarily take a sports bike or whatever on, because they're just a bit gnarly for a normal motorcycle. And that's what's really surprised me most, I think, about the bike, and I've really enjoyed that. It's just such a hoot to ride. You really don't need more power than 250cc. It's a real laugh of a bike, just good honest fun. Okay, so I hope that's been of some interest to you, and I look forward to speaking to you next time. I fully envisage doing another anniversary review in 2018. So until then, this has been the Missenden Fly. Cheerio.